Well, for years, Democrats told us masks save lives, but now they're mad at ICE agents for wearing them. Never mind the fact that the agents need more protection than ever as they face a historic 830% surge in assaults.
And that sharp rise in violence isn't happening by coincidence. It's fueled by the left's extreme rhetoric, like Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton, who's now doubling down on comparing ICE to the secret Nazi police.
I called ICE the modern day Gestapo a few months ago, and some people thought that was going too far, thought that was too extreme, got angry at me for saying that. Well, come on, like that's literally what's going on. When you have masked men, and by the way, they have absolutely no excuse for wearing masks, masked men taking people off the street, that's something you see in Russia or China or North Korea, not in the United States of America.
Well, cue the selective mask outrage. Los Angeles County, one of the largest sanctuary hotspots, demands law enforcement to never, quote, conceal their identities because they create confusion, incite fear, and undermine public trust.
Joining us now to react is California Congressman Tom McClintock. It's great to have you with us, Congressman. And, you know, the hypocrisy abounds here. The secrecy and the confusion and the trust, if the ICE agents are doing it, it's a problem. But if you're on the street and you're protesting and you're being violent, you're allowed to wear a mask. That doesn't add to the chaos. That's not a problem. If you're on the left, you have a problem with what happened on January 6th and you throw people in jail. But it's okay for people to go to the Supreme Court justice's home. It's okay for them to attack ICE agents. Like, I just don't get the logic.
Well, there is no logic. That's how the left operates, on an entirely clear double standard. You know, I don't like the look of masked law enforcement either, to tell you the truth, but it's necessary to protect them and their families from being doxxed and attacked by these leftist thugs. I mean, you'll notice these leftists don't propose to unmask the Antifa terrorists. They don't propose to increase penalties for doxing law enforcement officers. And of course, as you pointed out, it wasn't long ago that they wanted to fine anybody who didn't wear a mask, despite volumes of evidence that it was ineffective as a public health measure. I mean, bottom line is the states have no authority over federal law enforcement. So let's get real. You could call this childish virtue signaling, but that wouldn't be fair to children.
You know, Congressman, politically, despite all of this pressure, despite the exaggerations, despite the media saying this is all wrong, the president still has high approval when it comes to deporting very violent criminals out of these communities, including in California. And when I listened to Congressman Seth Moulton, he's supposedly a, quote, moderate Democrat. I mean, does a moderate Democrat actually exist on any of these issues? I mean, it's not moderate to call ICE agents who are taking violent rapists, child molesters, sex traffickers, drug traffickers out of these communities. I mean, he doesn't think that they should stay, apparently, and he's supposed to be a moderate side of the political left.
Well, that's the whole point. The Democratic Party is lurching dramatically to the extreme left, so maybe that makes him look like a moderate now in comparison with some of the other things they're saying. But obviously he's not, and people can make their own judgments as to whether this is responsible rhetoric coming from an elected official. I mean, let's get back to some simple truths. If we don't enforce our immigration laws, we have no immigration laws. If we have no immigration laws, we have no border. And if we have no border, we have no country.
Yeah, it's a good point, Congressman. Let's get to this. Gavin Newsom, he's basically saying that he'll move to redraw California's map if Texas redistricts. You can argue that Texas has good reason to want to redistrict. He doesn't, and that this is just retaliatory.
Well, I don't like what Texas is doing. I don't like any of the mid-decade reapportionments that the Democrats have done. You know, reapportionments scramble the districts and communities. They often distort the election outcomes. But the difference, though, having said all of that, is that the Texas Constitution allows it. The California Constitution forbids it. And the fact is, 60% of Californians voted to take reapportionment out of the hands of the politicians, give it to an independent commission. And we still have a stacked deck. In the last election, Republicans got 40% of the votes for Congress in California. We got only 17% of the seats. And Newsom simply wants to stack the deck even more by ignoring the California Constitution and putting that power back into the legislature to further reduce Republican representation in this state. That's despotic. And I think we're about to see if the courts of the people are willing to tolerate it.
You know, Congressman, redistricting, of course, goes hand in hand with the U.S. Census, which got the last census wrong and still continues to count illegal immigrants as citizens, essentially, because then they get House seats, they get congressional seats, they get electoral college votes. So where are you and where is Congress on trying to redo the census so that we're counting citizens, not illegal immigrants, for representation in Washington?
Well, first of all, there seems to have been an undercount of Republican states to begin with and an overcount of Democratic states. And I think that number, a shift of about 3 right there. Then you have the population shifts of people are fleeing Democratic strongholds like California and Illinois and New York and New Jersey for Republican states that have a far better quality of life for people because of their policies. And then on top of that, your point's well taken. They flooded the nation with millions of illegal migrants, which are then counted for congressional apportionment purposes, which then swells their representation at the expense of the rest of the country. Yeah. And that's assuming they're not illegally voting. And in California, you cannot prosecute an illegal alien who's voted unless you can prove that they knew it was illegal at the time they voted.
Right.
Wow. That's
difficult to prove intent in that way. Congressman, thank you so much. Great to see you tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.